Well, back in high school, a long time ago, 1992, my group of friends, their fathers were all firemen and wanted to be part of my community. So it was a way to volunteer and also a way to learn, things that I never knew. I'll never forget that day. I was here in Carr Place. I was teaching between Cherry Lane, and then I would come up here and teach in a high school. I remember someone coming into Cherry Lane classroom and telling me that a plane hit the World Trade Center. And for me, I'm like, oh, it's probably nothing. It's probably a little biplane, things hit the Empire State Building here and there. And then after the class, I remember walking into the teacher's workroom and seeing what happened. And to this day, I still remember walking from Cherry Lane back to the high school, trying to use my cell phone. Nothing was working. Just trying to call my family. Nothing was working. I swear you barely heard birds chirping. I think everyone knew something happened. And I remember walking into the high school and it was just a complete silence. And I still remember calling my friends at a firehouse, when are we going? When are we going to help? And that's what everything was, when were we going to help? So it was, I will never forget 9/11. I don't think you can ever say you expect something to happen. I think in Wantagh, we always had a lot of ambulance calls and a lot of little house fires. We never expected to see something as devastating or tragic as 9/11. My reaction was I wanted to figure out how I can get there to help. And in the later days, we learned that we lost 3 members of Wantagh Fire Department that day. 1 I knew, 2 were older members I really didn't know. And all we wanted to do is, myself, my friends that joined all with me, wanted to get down there just to help. And we had a chance to get down there, I believe it was a Thursday after. We loaded up a truck from the firehouse with all our old gear, our old helmets, our old fire gloves, anything that we could find. We loaded up just to bring down there. And I drove down there that day with everyone packed in the van. And right before you got to Battery Tunnel, we had a checkpoint. First time I've ever seen armed men with guns on our vehicle. So as soon as that, it hit home. This is real. And then walking into the firehouse down there, you saw pictures on the walls. This is always going to be in my brain. Pictures on the walls from the local schools, elementary schools, saying thank you to the firemen. Lined all the rooms, all the walls, hallways. And you walk in and you see all the firemen there. They've been digging all day. They've been looking for their brothers, as they say. And all they wanted to do is ask us what we needed. We didn't need anything. We wanted to help them, but that's how tight of a bond they have. They wanted to feed us. They wanted to help us. And then they took us down, and I got to see everything that day. The last facade, I was standing next to it. And I still remember the smells. I still remember everything of that day. It was, I don't think I'll ever forget 9/11. I was actually just talking with my wife's leader of a Girl Scout troop, and we're meeting all these new people. And I see on the wall when I walk into the person's house that they lost their brother that day. They lost my neighbor lost his brother that day, and he's a Marine, so he joined the Marines to, volunteer to, almost, I guess he felt he needed to protect us for what happened. And my family on Veterans Day, 9/11, they go to his house and they say thank you. So anytime we walk through the city and you see an officer or a military, I always walk over and I say thank you to them. So now my children will say thank you to them. It's respect there. And from 9/11, I think I take my time to say thank you more. I think we're a lot stricter with our security measures here. We do lockdowns, we do lockouts. We never had a lot of that stuff, I guess, on the books before. There's been a lot of things that also led up to that. We can tie it into Columbine, and we can tie, my cousins actually graduated the year before the incident in Columbine. So I think in Car Place, we're starting to be more aware of everything that's going on in the world. Now you can tie it into what happened in Paris as well. So we're really trying to protect the students and pretty much everyone here. Okay, I remember we were in lockdown. I remember sitting in the North cafeteria with a group of students that their parents worked in the city. And all we did was sit and listen to them and let them talk. And we were just there. I stayed late. I remember staying late, and parents were trying to pick their kids up, and we were, I guess we were on lockdown, or I don't know, whatever it was. I remember staying and just listening to, letting them cry, letting them talk, letting them just vent, just to say what they needed to say. And I remember no one knew. It was cell phones were pretty new back then. 10 years ago, it's nothing like what you have today. 14 years ago, I'm sorry. Cell phones were, it's a little thing like this big. Cell service was down, you couldn't call anybody, so people were really stressing. Some of my friends worked in the city. They walked from One World Trade and over the Brooklyn Bridge. There's a story you hear about the tugboats and all the ferries that saw it happening and then just came over and were taking people to the other side. You saw the acts of kindness that I think we all need to really think and do more. Even just random acts of kindness. You'd be surprised how many things touch other people. I went back last year, first time, with Miss Buffalino's class. And it was pretty heart-wrenching. I went and visited the people that I knew on the wall around the waterfalls, and I got to see the museum. I remember seeing everything on the news and different things, different pieces that were going in, and then there was this one room. The one room in the museum where you heard all the voice recordings, where you heard and saw all the visuals. For myself, I actually tapped Miss Buffalino on the shoulder and said, I have to go. I couldn't relive that again. I know it's 14 years, but it still touches my heart every year, every day. I remember things, and I'll never forget. Well, I never want them to forget. Or, I mean, I guess they're not really gonna forget. I mean, I just wanna teach. I wanna show them. I wanna tell the good stories. It doesn't all have to be the tragedy. Like good stories. The people that I just met, they lost, she lost her brother. And out of that tragedy, she met someone and they're married now with 2 kids. So you want to teach some of those stories as well. So, but I will never forget. I know my kids will never forget because I tell those stories. And you're going to randomly run into someone that has been affected. And you might not know what to say, just listen. Just listen to the stories and pass those stories along. So that's kind of what I would like to say. You know, I really want you to just listen to people. And random acts of kindness. And just, you never know who it's going to affect. I think just never going to forget.